Good morning and welcome to Heartland Dual Sport. This morning I thought we would just kind of do a brief overview about the Honda Africa Twin. Share that with you this morning. We'll pretty much go around the bike. I've had a few people ask me to kind of go around the bike, and I thought that'd be a good video to do this morning. So let's check out the new bike. Starting around at the front of the bike, we'll just go ahead and start the walk around right here at the front. The Africa Twin comes with Dunlop Trail Max. Looks like it's called DC101. DC101. Dunlop Trail Max DC101. You also get the dual disc brakes up front. You can pull up the specs online for the shocks. They're awesome so far. I mean, I haven't had any complaints with them. Of course, I haven't had it off-road yet, but that's going to be the look at the front tires and the wheels, and let's go on. Now, I have had a couple of people ask me already about the skid plate that comes on the Africa Twin from the factory. This is the right-hand side of the bike as you're sitting on the bike, and as you can see, you do have a little bit of coverage here on the tailpipes and whatnot, but there's no what I'd call a true skid plate, just like any other bike that you buy. I believe if you get the XCX or the XCA in the Triumph, it does come with a skid plate, but with that is you're also paying for a lot more cost on the initial purchase price. And a lot of times, even the ones that come on a bike from the factory, even if they come with one, guys are going to replace them. I think maybe that's what Honda was thinking here is, you know, leave it up to the guys that are actually purchasing the bike and let them make up their mind what skid plate they want. I mean, I don't know, but I know that they're trying to keep the initial costs down on the initial purchase price of the bike, and that's just a rough guess of mine on the skid plate and why they did what they did do. We will go around to the other side, and I'll give you a much better look of the skid plate that actually covers the bottom. But again, this is the exhaust side, and there's not just a whole lot here protecting your exhaust. Foot pegs from the factory, they're a little bit lacking. They're pretty small, they do fold back. It's got this little rubber deal in here. I'm sure it's just like the Suzuki DRZ, you can pull that rubber deal out. They're going to come with the rubber for the guys that are riding the highway stuff and not really getting off-road much, but you can pull that rubber insert out and you'll get a little bit better grip. That is one of the upgrades that we will be doing from the factory. I don't know that I really care for them, but they work. I mean, you know, it's not like it's an emergency type deal where you need to rush out and get it. Also want to just point out this bracket that bolts into the frame. I mean, that's a heavy duty rascal right there. It's not just some cheap junky part like you see on a lot of bikes. It's actually well thought out, and again, I'm sure guys that are going to personalize their bikes, they're going to end up going with their favorite foot peg or something like that. And again, I think this is just another way that Honda's trying to keep the initial cost down of the purchase price. And while we're talking about foot pegs, it does come with actually a pretty nice rear passenger foot peg. We will be doing a video here. It'll be coming up shortly to where you're going to be able to actually get some input from Angie as she's riding passenger. So she'll be able to tell you a little bit more about how well the passenger foot pegs are as well as the passenger seat. And I'm here to tell you on this seat, guys, I've ridden the bike quite a bit so far, and the seat is actually really nice, but staying down towards the bottom, you know, it comes with the muffler. I kind of like the looks of the muffler from the factory. One of the things that, you know, a lot of people are real anxious to swap out and try to get a little more performance out of their bikes is the mufflers. And so far, I'm telling you, I mean, this is comes from the factory. I think it looks good and it sounds good, and I'm not real hip on changing out a bunch of stuff that might affect the engine down the road. I need this bike to last a long time for me, and I don't know that that'll be something that I replace. I'll probably just stay with the stock. I like the quietness of the way a lot of these stock mufflers work. Again, the bike has about 95 horsepower, and I honestly don't think I'm going to have so much gear that 95 horsepower isn't going to get me up and down the trail. So for me, I mean, that's plenty. And I know a lot of guys, I mean, they like the better sound. To me, the bike sounds good, and if you want, we'll go ahead and just fire it up and you can hear the muffler. I mean, the muffler sounds good to me, and I'm pleased with it. And again, I mean, you know, I know that's something that a lot of people are going to want to trade out down the road, but for me, it's actually working nice. And then while we're down here, we'll go ahead and take a look at the rear tire as well. It's going to be, again, it's a Dunlop rear tire, and it is the Trail Max, just like the front, and it's the D610 on the rear. The D610, Dunlop D610 on the rear, and I'll spin the bike around. I don't have a Lazy Susan, so I actually kind of got to stop and start the video. And for this walk around, I appreciate you guys' patience. Let's go around to the rear of the bike. And again, guys, this is the look of the rear tire. And again, it's the Dunlop, just like I mentioned earlier. And this is the tail end of the bike. I'll kind of zoom out a little bit so you can see the tail end of the bike. And again, guys, it's just a different perspective of the tail end. You do end up, it's got a real nice, I like how this LED tail light in the back is tucked in the back here. And then you got pretty good sized blinkers for people to see when you're out riding. Turn on the blinkers, and you know, it almost looks to me like they're tucked in enough that your handguard for your passenger would actually protect them if you lay the bike over. So I don't know if that's going to be a big problem. This is one of those deals that inevitably everybody always complains about, the huge rear bumper. And I'm sure that when they come out with a fender eliminator type kit for this bike, we'll end up with one of them. I like that cleaner look of the tail end. I know that you know, this is probably something they do from the factory to help keep you when you're going through the mud and whatnot, or keep mud off your back. But I don't know, it doesn't bother me like some of them. I mean, it is pretty good size, but I like how it's tapered down, and it ends up with a pretty clean look even from the factory. Again, moving right along, this is the left side of the bike, and as you can see, it comes with a pretty good chain guard up top here. It's going to be it'll work. It actually has quite a bit of information on here as well. It tells you about your drive chain, things you need to do to adjust your drive chain. And you can see you got the foot pegs over here. Again, this is the passenger side. This is mounted really strongly to the subframe, and it's just really, it feels really tight. Again, we'll be doing a video later on with Angie riding on the back. It'll be our riding 2-up on the Africa Twin video, and she'll be able to tell you more about the comfort level of the foot pegs and their position and that type of stuff. One of the complaints about like the DRZ, for example, the foot peg's actually up pretty high, and Angie has pretty long legs, so it gets uncomfortable real quick in her lower back, the seating position on it. And I'm hoping that the way these are down quite a bit lower, that she'll actually be able to sit there comfortably. You also have the raised seat height for the passenger back here, so a lot of times what happens on that DRZ, the seat's pretty much straight, and every time you just barely slightly tap on the brake or something like that, you end up bumping helmets. So I'm anxious to get her on the back of this bike and see how well it works. So let's continue on. I'll zoom in over here on the top of this chain guard, and you can kind of look and see the specs and whatnot that they're talking about, and the different little warning labels. I mean, you know, the brand new bikes always come with tons of warning labels that are very difficult to get off, but this one actually has some pretty good information about things you need for general maintenance on the bike. So I'll probably leave them stickers. They're not really something that's going to be in the way, and I'll end up with some stickers on there anyhow. And let me look at the video real quick. Yeah, I'm going to move the light around so you can kind of see something, but this is actually a pretty key element that I actually like and enjoy that Honda did put on this bike. But let's, I'm going to readjust the camera real quick, and I'm going to show you something that I think is just super cool here on the front end towards the shift selector and whatnot. Again, this is right above the gear shifter. Here's your foot peg right here, and I don't know if you can see it, but I've got two cameras running right now, so at some point I know you'll be able to see. I'll switch over. You can see this is your foot peg for the left side of your bike when you're sitting on it. And then this deal right here is actually, it's kind of a cover, and it's just held in with a single bolt. But the one thing that I really do like about this, and this just goes to show you that Honda's gone that extra step thinking about stuff that happens. When you're riding, I can give you a good example. My city boots that I wear, they're the, you know me, I'm terrible with names, but anyhow, city boots, or put on any kind of hard boot, motocross boot, something like that. What ends up happening is when your foot's up here, you got all that extra heavy duty ankle protection right around your ankle and your boot, and you end up rubbing the paint off of your frame. And I'll slip in a picture of my DRZ, and I can show you. You guys know I take really good care of that bike, but the boots will scratch that paint off. And I like the fact that they've put this on here, because that's going to keep you from I'll let that motorcycle go by. That's going to keep you from rubbing and wearing all your paint off. Again, if you can see the gear selector, I mean, it's good and heavy duty. The one thing that I did notice, it felt to me like it was a hair short. Right now I'm just wearing regular riding boots. I haven't put on my city boots yet. I feel like when I put my city boots on, it's probably going to be a hair short. And again, I mean, just like everything else, there's aftermarket parts already being made for this thing, and I'm sure that they've got some that are a hair longer. And that's just, you know, one of the great things about Honda is there's no shortage of aftermarket parts. Right now, a lot of the parts for the Africa Twin being a brand new bike, there's a lot of them that are on back order, but you know, down the road, you're going to be able to get whatever it is you want. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adjust the camera position again, and I want to give you guys a better look at the skid plate. I told you once we got around here on this left side, we'd go over the skid plate that comes from the factory and kind of show you what it is and what you're getting, and why I'll be replacing it. And again, this is a closer look at the skid plate. As you can see, the skid plate, it looks really thick from the factory, but what it is, it's kind of, they've curled this edge up so that when you're looking at it from this angle, it looks relatively thick, but it's not real thick, and I don't picture it being real heavy duty. I think it's going to be for your general consumer who probably doesn't get out in the dirt or ride in rocky areas. I'm not sure why Honda did that. And then also, it looks to me like it's a hair short, because if you rub your hand right through here, you're going to actually, you know, if a big rock or something was to come up, and even if it hit this, if it's a solid rock, you're going to end up hitting the side of this case here. So I'm looking forward to finding a skid plate that will actually protect the engine and the muffler. Again, you've already seen the other side, and it doesn't even come close to protecting your muffler over there, or your exhaust, whatever you want to call it, straight out the bike. So that'll be something that needs to be fixed. And again, staying on the left hand side of the bike, guys, this is the left hand side of the handlebars. You've got your high beam selector. You've also got the set button here. The set button will run you through the three different panels on the LCD screen, and we'll go over that in a little bit, and probably end up making a whole nother video just on the instrument panel itself, because there's quite a bit actually with it. But you got your clutch over here. The clutch actually, and if you've watched the first ride video, it's nice smooth action. You got your standard mirrors that come on any of your bikes. I mean, they're not great, but they're definitely doable and they work. So again, that's one of those deals. I haven't even replaced them on my DRZ. I'd love to have the double take mirrors. The double take may end up on this bike, I don't know. They'll probably end up on the DRZ at some point, but just staying here on the left hand side, it does come with a little bit of protection up here. I'm going to say this is going to be good for wind and possibly rain or something, but you're not going to get protection from the brush with these hand guards right here. They're kind of like, they remind me of the ones with the KLR, with the exception they do have this brace that comes on around and connects to the handlebar, but you're just not going to get protection from brush and or small trees or something like that. It may help in a crash situation to save your levers like bark busters would. But again, I don't know that yet, and it's something that down the road I plan on replacing. I like the ones like Barkbuster has, where he actually has some good protection from either running into stuff. You guys have seen some of my videos. Every now and again I run into something. And then you've also got your turn selector down here. This is for your left and right. I will tell you the problem that I've had a couple of times is, to me, this is the more natural spot for the switch selector, but this is your horn. So when you push this, you get the horn, and I'll turn it on so you guys can hear it. The horn's nothing loud, it's nothing fancy. It is 100 times louder than the DRZ, but again, when you're out in traffic, I don't know that that's super loud. That's probably the only thing that it's really taken me a little bit to get used to, is a lot of times when I go to push the button to turn the turn signals off, I'm actually bumping the horn. On your high beam switch, you do have this bottom switch right here. When you push it down, basically it's flashing your high beams on, which is good. And I use my horns, lights, and signals when I'm out driving or riding my bike, because I like to communicate with other drivers and make sure they're seeing me coming. And I've always, historically in the past, if I'm coming up to an intersection and I'm not sure if somebody's actually looking at me or not, you know, I'll flip the high beams back and forth, hoping that that extra brightness of light will get the driver's attention and not pull out in front of me. I've had a lot of good luck with that in the past, but having this button right here to where all you got to do is just push it down and it's going to flash the high beams, I think that's an excellent thing that Honda's come out with. I like that it's right here handy. And again, you can't see it right here on the front, but there's basically a little trigger. I'll move the camera around so you can get a better look at this, but this is where you thumb through for your traction control. And like I say, it's kind of a little trigger deal. It's real easy to get to, and I'll go ahead and I'll take a picture of that real quick so we can just add it into the video. Come back to the seat. This is another thing that I want to kind of emphasize, and I chose this angle here to kind of show you the seat. The seat's pretty good size back here. I mean, this feels like gel, if you can see my thumbs going into it or my fingers. I mean, this seat's really soft. I picture it being really good for the passenger back here. And then as you look, you've got this sweeping arc right here. The seat comes in real thin. So even though this is a big bike and you've got, even though you've got a big 5-gallon gas tank up here, the seat is actually shaved down to where it feels much thinner. I've sat on a few of the other bikes and those wider bikes, and I can tell you from sitting on the XCX, I'm getting old, guys. My hips hurt, and that XCX is much wider, and just sitting on it in the showroom, and I think I even told Piston Slap that this morning. We were visiting because he did a review about the XCA, and I'm kind of comparing it to the XCA quite a bit, because that really was the bike that would have been the other bike if I didn't get this one. And I'm not knocking the XCA, I'm just telling you some things that I noticed from sitting on it. Piston Slap's actually ridden it. He did a great review on that. If you guys haven't checked his video out, I encourage you to do so. But one of the things that I did notice and I really like about this bike is it's much thinner through here, and the way that sweeps in, when you're sitting on this bike, it doesn't feel like a 500-pound bike. It feels more like you're sitting on a DRZ or a thinner bike like the Honda 250, and you know, just that general feel. The big difference to me between it and like the DRZ, when you're sitting on it, it feels like you're sitting on a 2x6 that's got a little piece of leather wrapped around it. This seat here is super comfortable. Again, it's kind of has that gel feel to it, but it's also a little grippy. So when you guys are starting to take this thing off-road, you're going to get that grip that you're accustomed to off your seat, and you know, when you're holding on with your legs, it actually grips pretty good too. I have gone around a few corners, you know, riding it to work and back and forth around here in town, and I've noticed, you know, when I'm changing my position, setting up for a turn or something like that, that the seat really does grip pretty good, and I do like that. Along with it being comfortable, you don't feel like you're going to slide out of the saddle. It's got a really nice feel to it. But again, I mean, that's one of the key features when you're talking about, and guys, I'm sorry, I'm sweating like a crazy person here. I keep getting sweat all over the bike, but when you're talking about your overall comfort, and the seat is one of the things that always comes up. I don't care what kind of reviews you're looking at, what kind of bike stuff you're looking at. The seat is one thing when you're talking about overall comfort. And again, to me, when you're sitting here, your legs aren't spread out really wide, and that was the problem that I had with the XCX, is that the way the seat is and the way that it's built, it's a much wider, it's much wider. I can't say that it's this wide, but I'm just telling you, my hips feel it, and that is problematic for me. Is again, I'm getting up there in age, and comfort to me is a big deal, and when you're talking about a good seat, I don't think I've ever sat on a stock seat that was this good. And again, my Ducati that I had, it's more like a race bike. Those seats aren't designed for long roads, and nor was it meant to. So you don't expect that seat to be real comfortable. When you're buying a bike like this that's going to be made to where you can ride it to Alaska and back, you kind of expect the factory to put some thought into it and make sure that it's at least comfortable. That's another thing that actually saves you money in the long run, because if you don't have to go buy another $500 seat from one of these aftermarket seat guys, or a $300 seat, whatever, you're saving money in the long run. And I can tell you, so far, I don't picture this being something that I'm going to actually change out. I really like the way it feels, and again, it's just super soft. While I'm on the seat, I want to say this real quick. I mentioned it in an earlier video. The seat from the factory comes with 2 positions, and the way you take your seat off is there's actually a little keyhole over here on the back side. You can unlock it kind of like you would a trunk, or how a lot of your sport bikes, the rear releases with the key. Same deal, but it releases this seat here. It comes from the factory with 2 positions. This is in the high position. I'm a little bit leggy, so I'm okay with that. But you can pop the 2 little spacers out, and it'll take the seat down another inch. And then also, if you're even shorter, and again, I mentioned this earlier, if some of the ladies are going to be riding this bike, and I use the word ladies, it could be anybody with shorter legs. I've got a good friend of mine who actually has been looking at a KLR, and he's got shorter legs, but they do sell a seat that's even shorter than this one. You can buy it from Honda, and it's what they call their low ride seat, and you can put it fits in the same spot, but the way that it's cut and made, it goes down another inch shorter than this one in the low position. So basically, from the factory, you get a 1 inch difference. You can either have it at this height, and you can take it down another inch, or you can buy the low seat, which takes it down a whole nother inch. And I think once you do the low seat, you're into that 32-inch inseam. Guys with the 32-inch inseam will be able to sit on that bike comfortably. So to me, it's just a great selling point. When you talk about riding, the position of the handlebars, you're in a good position when you're riding, and it just makes for a great overall comfort. And again, guys, this is going to be the right side. You do have, which I think is a cool feature, they've started putting these on a lot of your bigger bikes, is you do have hazard lights. You've got the hazard light button right here handy, and then you've got your start stop kill switch over here, and then you've got your brake. On the brake, and I'll take a picture of this so you can see it, it is adjustable. It has the little thumb dial right here to where you can kind of adjust that for your liking. Again, you got the mirror on this side. You got your front brake reservoir over here with a sight glass, so you can make sure that you're, I kind of like that, because how many times have we been on the side of the road, or even if, let's just say you're not broke down, you're in heavy traffic and you can see people coming up from behind you are not paying attention because they're texting. I like that added extra, even if it's just something for me mentally to feel like I'm, again, communicating with the other drivers on the road. I truly like that feature. Again, on the DRZ, I'll use my signals and I'll switch them back and forth, left and right, hoping to get the attention of the drivers. I've also, on the DRZ, I've got that blinking LED tail light, so that every time I hit the brake on it, it flashes 3 or 4 times. Again, thanks to Woodsman for that, and he's just a really good dude. He actually designed it himself and made it. But guys, this is just some really, basic walk around the bike. Again, we'll go into more detail on the dash. I'm going to try to keep this video short since it is just kind of the walk around. I'm showing you some of the features. Again, you got the handguard protector on this side. Again, I think it's going to be good for wind, rain, that type of stuff. No, I've mentioned it, you got the 5-gallon tank, which means you can go about 250 miles. This bike's supposed to get around 50 miles a gallon. We will definitely be doing some averaging out as we get the bike through the break-in, and I'll be able to give you exact miles per gallon that I'm getting here in Oklahoma. I know if you get up into, you know, different areas, you might get a little bit better, a little bit less, but the way our humid areas up here, sometimes we don't get as good a gas mileage as you guys do in you know, Colorado or North Carolina. When I was on my DRZ out in North Carolina, I actually got better mileage out there for 2 weeks than I've ever gotten here, and that's even riding with the bike loaded. So another little, you know, I don't know if you can see this, but hopefully you can. This button right here is going to be for your anti-lock brakes, the ABS. You can turn that off, and the switch is right there, real easy to get to, and it lights up when you push that button as well. And that's pretty much it, guys, from the factory. That's how the bike comes. Again, this is the Honda Africa Twin with the manual transmission. It is not their flagship model. I don't know on the flagship model, the one with the DCT, if it comes with the cigarette lighter or not. But over here on this side of the dash, and I doubt you can see me reaching over, is where the cigarette lighter adapter comes. This bike does not come with it, so it's not that big of a deal if I show you where it's supposed to go, because I haven't actually purchased it yet, but I will be getting that and adding it to the future. You do have some cutouts that come from the factory on the dash right in here that you can put your additional switches for your fog lights, that type of stuff, or maybe even mount them on the handlebar. To me, I'm going to try to keep the handlebars clean as possible by the time I put the GPS and maybe my cell phone up in here. I'm not going to have a whole lot of room left anyhow, but I do like these big heavier bars. You can put some, there's plenty of room to put some stuff like the GPS, your cell phone, that type of stuff, and I don't have a whole lot of room on the DRZ. But again, guys, if you like our video, give us a big thumbs up. If you know anybody that's interested in a really detailed look around the Africa Twin, share this video with them. We love all your likes, comments, and subscribes, and as always, have a blessed week. I'm running low on battery, so I'm trying to keep this video quick on the walk around. One of the things that I really have liked, I've already done a video on the headlights riding at night. I mean, you get the dual beam headlights up front, which are actually pretty phenomenal. They work great straight out of the box. And this little windscreen right here, a lot of times when you get guys on the, I know I've seen it on the KLRs and you know, all the other different forums that you go to, everybody's always complaining about the windscreen. This one actually works pretty dang good from the factory. I like the looks of it. It's got a really nice look. Again, you got your turn signals up here, which are really bright. I've heard some people complaining about the turn signals as well. Again, guys, when I'm out riding, I want to get the attention of other drivers when I'm out there. You can see the lights are really bright. Here it is on high beam. If you guys want to watch that video, I do have a video of riding at night on the Africa Twin using the stock lights, so that video will be posted. If not right now, it'll be posted soon. But the front end of this bike just looks really, really sweet, guys. Again, it's really well put together, well thought out. The only thing that I could see on the front end right up in here, it's got a little bit of what I'd call maybe a tiny plastic radiator guard, and I think that would work real good if you weren't going to be getting off-road. But again, there's already guys that are making aftermarket parts for this bike, and I can picture putting some better radiator guards on there as well, just because I know me and I know I'm going to end up in rocky areas. The tires that come on this bike, they don't have the real aggressive tread, so they're probably not going to be pitching up big rocks anyways. And the way the rear fender comes down, it's probably not going to get up in there, but I know I've been in areas where, you know, you may not actually be throwing something up, but a stick could actually get hung up in there. And you know me, you've been watching my videos, and I'm a little goofy. I've actually drove into some trees, so the radiator guards are more for me, not so much that I feel like the tires are going to kick a rock up. It's just I know myself, I'm a little goofy.